Well, these are special recordings because normally our recordings are available to the whole world. But this is for admitted students. So congratulations to everybody joining in. My name is Steven Freedman. I'm the Assistant Dean of almost said addition. So of admissions. And I'm joined by my two colleagues, Heather Spielmaker and Stacey Blakeman. I'll let you guys say hello. The Dean of Career Services and Director of Career Services, respectively. So this is a really great event. This is our first of a series of videos for our admitted students. I thought we would start with a heavy topic, an important topic, which is career services, because the reason you go to law school is, well, to gain a legal education, but actually really to apply that legal education by getting a job when you graduate. So my two colleagues, Heather and Stacey, have a very important job at the law school, helping our students get jobs. So the format of tonight's event will be Heather and Stacey, our Dean Spielmaker and Director Blakeman will be, you can call me Steve, but we'll be doing a presentation, and then we'll have some Q&A. So we definitely hope, I have some questions I can ask, but we definitely hope you'll join in with the questions as well. So I'm going to turn over this event to Dean Spielmaker and Director Blakeman.
Welcome, everyone. Like Steve said, congratulations on being admitted to KU Law. We are definitely looking forward to seeing everyone this fall. We did want to just cover some of the topics that we think that prospective and admitted students are most interested in. So we put together a few slides. Feel free to jump in and interrupt anytime. If we don't get through all the slides, that won't be the end of the world.
Okay, so as Steve said, I'm Stacey Blakeman. I'm the Director of Career Services. Please call me Stacey. I like it when people call me Director Blakeman only because it just sounds really important, but Stacey is fine. I graduated from KU Law in 2009, and I was in private practice for 10 years before coming back to KU Law. And Heather, did you want to give a little bit of your background before we get going?
Sure. I am originally from Michigan. I went to Michigan State University for undergrad and Western Michigan University Cooley Law School. Previous to this, I was the Assistant Dean for Career Services at WVU Law in Morgantown, and I've been here in Kansas now for about 1.5 years. I'm really excited to get to know each and every one of you more over the next 3 years, certainly. And if you have any other, questions that you want to ask kind of, privately, feel free to shoot us an email. We're available to answer any questions that you might have. You can also always give us a call, but we look forward to working with you all.
So the point we want to get across is to answer the question, where will a KU law degree take you? And the answer is anywhere. We have no agenda for you in our office. You can come to us with whatever your hopes and dreams are, and we want to help you accomplish those. Whether that is actively practicing law, whether that is a JD advantage position, which is a job that you are more competitive for because you have a JD, whatever it is, we want to help you get there. So there are some things that we think are important to identify before you get to law school. If you want to land your dream job, there are a few things to consider. So the first would be grades. Law school is kind of a different environment than perhaps what you're used to in undergrad, or if you're coming from a first career. And it's true, grades matter. They matter more to some employers than others, but grades are not the only factor. In fact, I'm hard pressed to think of something more boring, frankly, than talking about grades, because what I'm more interested in is what you bring to the table in other ways. Transferable skills are really important, and we really want to equip you in those areas so that you are a competitive candidate no matter where you are in terms of class rank. Passing the bar exam is important, particularly if you want to practice law. And this matters for most legal career paths. The vast majority of our students do go into jobs where they are practicing attorneys or at least have an active bar license. And as we kind of mentioned before we kicked off this program, KU Law is one of the only schools in the United States that offers free bar prep to all of its students. And friends, I can't express enough how valuable this is, quite literally, because they did not do this when I went to KU Law. And bar prep costs thousands of dollars. And when I found out they were doing this, I was kind of retroactively like, what? Why now? Why not then? But the point is, you'll be able to avail yourself of this really incredible opportunity. And then access to jobs. And that's where we come in. So we want to make sure that you know what's out there, that you have different exposure to different practice areas, and that you're aware of, first of all, the kinds of things that exist that you can do, and also have access to us and other resources.
All right, so along those lines, we kind of wanted to answer some questions that we thought you might have as far as what jobs will you be able to get? Where will those jobs be? When will you be getting those jobs, and how will we help you to get those jobs? So we'll start here with, what do KU Law grads do? And as you can see here, they do a pretty wide variety of things. There's not a specific concentrated area. We have, maybe the biggest piece of this pie is firms of 100 attorneys or less, but we also have pretty significant pie slices for government work, larger firms, public interest. So truly, a KU Law degree is going to remove the ceiling from just about anything you want to do. So many job opportunities will say that they prefer candidates who have graduate degrees, and they might list off a couple of areas, and then it'll say something like, or related field. Law is almost always a related field. So we're really excited about the kind of endless spectrum of opportunities that are going to be available to you after you complete your law school training. All right, and then where will you be working? KU Law grads are everywhere. What I have for this chart here shows the percentage of the students from KU Law that stay in Kansas or Missouri versus UMKC and Washburn. You can see that fewer of our students stay in the region, still a significant number. About 69% of our students stay in Kansas or Missouri. And the way that we help those students with their access to this regional employment is through on-campus interviews. Basically, when KU Law has on-campus interviews, employers in this region flock to them. As Stacey can attest, right now we're in the middle of on-campus interviews for our students. We have 75 employers already participating in on-campus interviews. And those are almost always employers from Kansas, Missouri. We do have a few that participate from Denver and Omaha. But generally the on-campus interviews are within the region. We set you up with summer work experiences that will give you access to employment offers for after graduation in many cases. Sometimes those employment opportunities for the summer will be unpaid, but we have an amazing summer stipend program where we can help offset your living expenses over the course of the summer if you take unpaid work, because that's what makes the most sense for your career development. We obviously have job postings. Aside from that, we spend a lot of our time doing one-to-one outreach. So if you were to come to me and say, I'm really interested in this firm, I didn't see any, they're not doing on-campus interviews, and I didn't see any job postings, I will quite often reach out to that employer myself and advocate on your behalf. And we have really great results with that approach. So we've been doing a lot more of that this year than in past years, and that seems to be really working out well for our students. Now, this is where I think KU Law really distinguishes itself from other law schools in this region. This is the percentage of graduates that leave Kansas or Missouri and take employment elsewhere. As you can see, KU Law has a much more significant portion of our graduates going out of state than the other schools in the region. We have about 31% that go outside of Kansas and Missouri. And the way that we help our students gain access to nationwide employment is indeed what sets us apart. We are a very well resourced office when it comes to helping students who want to work outside of this region. We have traveling on-campus interviews where we'll go to markets like Denver, Houston or Dallas, perhaps Florida, just kind of depends on where the students that particular class year are interested. So we do traveling on-campus interviews and take you there so that you can meet with employers in that region. We have traveling stipends if you were to get a job interview outside of this region and travel was an obstacle for you. We do have stipends available to help with that. We do a 6th semester in DC program because DC is always a very popular destination for KU Law grads. We pay for your career fair registrations and oftentimes cover travel to go to career fairs in other markets. Again, we'll do that one-to-one outreach. We have the summer stipends available for people that are taking unpaid work outside of the state as well. And then we spend a lot of money on access to national databases for clerkships, government opportunities, and public policy opportunities across the country.
So we are proud of being among the top 40 law schools where our graduates have full-time jobs upon the time that they leave KU Law. And it's not as though we start meeting with you when you are a 3L, like ready to land the job. It starts basically as soon as you get to Green Hall. And that's one of our favorite parts of the job is just building relationships with you all. As I said earlier, we don't have an agenda for you. And we are excited to help you figure out what it is that you want to do. And maybe you already have a concrete idea of what that is, or maybe you're coming and have an open mind about the kinds of things that you might want to do. But we meet with 1Ls their first semester to kind of identify some of those goals and figure out what might be a good fit for you, thinking about your first summer after your first year and how you might get some of that professional development. So we have all kinds of programming that covers that. And obviously, we want you to have a job before you graduate. And so we work with you then to kind of make those last connections, depending on the type of job, depending on the pipeline and career path. Certain opportunities are available, the summer after your second year. Some people get offers and some don't. And it doesn't have anything to do with how we value a job. Sometimes it's just the recruiting cycle. And so we're kind of here to manage expectations and advocate for you and kind of help you figure out what steps you need to take. And so along those lines, we have a lot of programming that we offer to expose you both to professional development and access to actual jobs. We have, as you can see, a whole bunch of different things. A couple that I want to highlight are our Legal Career Options Day. That's one of our, I think, most fun programs. We bring, probably 50 employers to KU Law. And it is basically sort of an informational career fair. You are not there to get a job. You are there to learn about jobs. And so we have people representing all different sectors. You name it, and there's somebody there who works in that industry. And it's really fun. What we haven't mentioned yet is that the Jayhawk alumni network is extremely strong. Jayhawks love each other. And so this is like a really fun event for alumni to come back and like see some of their friends. I mean, when I was in practice, I would come to Legal Career Options Day and know I was going to see some classmates. And that was really fun. But it's also really great for students to sort of practice that networking opportunity and ask relevant questions and learn about what do you do at the Department of Transportation? What does a lawyer do there? What does a lawyer do at a small law firm? What does a lawyer do at the Legal Aid of Western Missouri? I mean, all of these things are maybe new to you, and we really want to expose you to a lot of different options and variety. And then another really popular event is our Speed Mock interviewing program. And that is where we bring in, again, more alumni, more professionals to come and interact with you. And it is a 5-minute increments where each lawyer will ask you a question and you answer it and you get immediate feedback. And then you switch to the next person and that person will ask you a question and you get immediate feedback. And it's, again, really great for actually learning how to articulate some of these like hard answers to questions that maybe you've never actually had to say aloud before. You get to meet a ton of people, and it's also really fun. So we're really proud of the programming that we offer. We really try to expose you all to a whole lot of different information and resources. And also fun. I mean, it's important in our office that we enjoy one another, we enjoy you all, and we really enjoy our alumni. So it's kind of a great intersection. As I said, we like to hang out with you guys, and we try to do it really regularly. So there are about 300 students enrolled right now. And man, I think this was calculated as of maybe January. We'd had like more than 1,000 interactions with students from our office alone. And we want to interact with you in whatever way you want to. We love one-on-one advising appointments. We do mock interviews. We offer presentations recorded and live to give you information on how to create a legal resume, which is different than a traditional resume, it turns out. Some of those, again, professional development, we offer programming on that, and then also the more career-based development, interviewing, on-campus interviews, bringing in employers, that sort of thing.
All right, and so to wrap it up, I would just say, so who finds jobs at KU Law? A lot of people are worried that only the people at the top of the class find jobs. We hear that from new students quite often. And actually, the reality is that pretty much everyone finds jobs after they graduate. For the past 6 years, 90% or better of our new graduates find employment within 9 or 10 months after graduation. So we're really proud of our employment outcomes for students. We look forward to finding creative and satisfying career outcomes for all of you in the future. And we would love to take any questions that you have for us.
I can start if you don't mind. First, thank you, Heather, Stacey, and Steve for doing this. For me, this will be a second career, and my questions might be more pertinent to my situation, but I hope other people find them useful. I am curious what elements of the actual program will prepare us for an actual career in law versus just being based in theory. If you can speak a little bit to that, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. I think that, within the law school, we have a lot of courses that are designed to be, to help you with actual courtroom and, a lot of the different skills that you'll need to be effective in the courtroom. However, we also have field placement programs where you get hands-on, an opportunity to work hands-on and earn law school credit for that. We have programs that specialize in prosecution placements, in judicial internships. clerking for judges while you're still in law school, as well as general placements with government agencies and public interest organizations. So there's a lot of opportunity to get that experiential learning if that's something that you're interested in doing. Steve, did you have anything else to add?
I was just going to say, I remember before I stepped into law school, I didn't really recognize the differences between like clinics and externships and job placement. So tonight we're a bit more focused on the career services side, but I think that's a great point, Caitlin, that you bring up, because a major part of our program are the clinics and are the experiential opportunities as part of which are officially baked into the curriculum. So like our legal aid clinic, where you represent local residents, or the medical legal partnership field placement, which also is for credit. It's a class you take. And that's where we've set up law offices at Lawrence Memorial Hospital and at the University of Kansas Med Center in Kansas City, and where our students represent local residents. So that's a really great point that you bring up, that our program, of course, we believe strongly in the traditional, you're going to get classroom time for sure. But we do have, as a central part of our program, those direct experiential opportunities. Plus, some of our classes are also more skills-based. Like if you're going to be a litigator, we have a trial advocacy program where you get direct skills-based kind of training, as opposed to more case law-based training. So,
And I just wanted to add. Oh, sorry, Heather.
I was just going to say that outside of the outside of the options for credit, each summer most of our students usually do a hands-on work experience, and that can really make the difference between being able to hit the ground running on your first day after graduation versus not being able to. Stacey?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We really try to, let's be real. Your resume is like how you sell yourself. It's just the first opportunity for many employers to get a sense of who you are. And we want that to be really strong and show what your transferable skills are. And so we do think it's important while you're in law school to avail yourself of opportunities that are outside of just the curriculum, because as you articulated, Caitlin, it's fine to like go to class and learn about constitutional law, but we want you to have a sense of what it is like to function in an office somewhere. And whatever that is, we want you to have exposure to that. And so we try to connect you with whatever opportunity you want. I mean, again, we have a breadth of opportunities, and right now is when students are starting to think about their summer opportunities. We have on-campus interviews happening right now. Some students get jobs through on-campus interviews, and some don't. Some use the summer as an opportunity to do like our judicial field placement, which is incredible, and it places you with a judge. And it's technically a KU law program, but it is an experiential, like, fantastic resume builder. And so we really care about you all having things to put on your resume to show employers, but more than that, because then you get real experience.
Thank you. Can I ask my other question real quick, and then I promise to leave the floor. I'm just curious for Kansas City specifically, whether you guys have seen, if you've seen a need in the legal community here that you're not able to fill, some sort of kind of following the market. Where do you see the greatest need in Kansas City with regards to legal services?
I think that the biggest growth areas right now, the most in-demand specialties, are probably bankruptcy, labor and employment law, but a lot of those are directly related to the pandemic. So I wouldn't necessarily advise using this year's, high demand to figure out, what coursework you want, which direction you want your coursework to take. Overall, I would say in the legal employment market, privacy intellectual property, those are in high demand. Tax law, those are some areas where I see a lot of, growth opportunity, a lot of open jobs. Anything working in rural areas, there is a huge demand for skilled attorneys outside of metropolitan areas. There are many counties, even in Kansas, where there might be one or two licensed, practicing attorneys that are actually actively practicing. So there's just a wide variety of demand out there. I think that maybe the smarter option is to, think about after you've spent a year in law school and maybe had a summer experience, what feels like a good fit for you. And then if you wanted to come in and talk about that, we could talk about what kind of, what that particular niche market looks like. We see a lot of growth in compliance and JD Advantage careers as well, where you don't actually have to be licensed, but having the JD degree helps you get those jobs. So things like banking, compliance work, working in higher ed. There are a lot of different options for for JD Advantage careers, as we can all attest to. So academia. I think TJ had a question too.
I do. Thank you guys for doing this. I have three hopefully quick questions. The first one is the traveling on campus program you mentioned for interviews. How does that work?
The on-campus, the traveling OCIs, basically we work with employers in Denver and then usually a second market. It's usually always Denver and then either Houston or Dallas or maybe an area in Florida if there's a lot of demand. We work with employers there and pick a couple days when they would be willing to interview our students. And then we pack you guys up and we take you on a road trip.
So it's not like an individual student you're taking to like a different state or something. It's like
those would be probably 6 to 10 students would go to on that trip, and they would interview with the employers in those markets. When we're unable to offer a traveling OCI program, like we recently weren't able to do that for our students because of travel restrictions, what we do then is we allocate the same resources and make them available to you if you were to say get a job interview in Chicago and you needed assistance with your travel expenses to go to Chicago to interview for that job, or if you wanted to go to a career fair in California. We have a lavender law career fair that takes place. Different fairs like that, we would be able to assist with the cost of the travel for those events.
Got it. In general, what are some of the types of jobs that people take in DC for that semester program?
That is truly a wide field of placements. Professor Jennifer Schmidt runs the 6th semester in DC program. We have a couple students out there right now, actually. Quite often they will be in government agencies. It's DC, so that makes sense, right? But we also have a lot of students who will take placements for the semester with nonprofit organizations in DC. Sometimes they're politically affiliated, sometimes not. But there's truly a wide variety. You actually find an internship you'd like to do out there, and then spend your 6th semester out there getting credit for it. And Professor Schmidt meets with you regularly and talks about the progress you're making and offers some professional development training as you participate.
Okay.
Yeah, we had actually invited Professor Schmidt tonight, but she couldn't make it because of scheduling issue. But yeah, it's a really, there's been so many interesting placements through that program. So.
And then also the dual degree program, like I know you guys have like law and business, law and some other things going on. How much of an advantage do you see in the job market for those types of things?
I would say the most powerful combination that I see in the job market is the dual JD MBA program. JD MBA students never need help finding jobs. They're never the ones that don't have the jobs. And there's a huge demand for that combination. Also, the MPA programs can be a good combination if you had both of those degrees. It really, as far as LLMs, there are many metropolitan areas where to break into tax law. They really expect you to have an LLM for tax. Not every market, not every firm, but it is very common to have an LLM if you're going to pursue tax law.
Okay, thank you guys very much.
And I'm glad you asked the questions you did, because I think that the traveling OCI and the 6th semester in DC, those really are programs that set KU Law apart from other schools. You don't see other schools funding that, you know, that career exploration outside of the region in the way that we do.
Right.
The 6th semester in DC program, we've actually been working on our funding so that that semester, should you choose to go to DC, doesn't end up costing you any more than it would if you had stayed in Lawrence, through different stipends that we make available.
Definitely.
And we really do try to take students places. This year was a little bit of an anomaly for all of us, but typically we take students to Dodge City. First of all, I mean, we have just like an excited bar association in Southwest Kansas, and it is like that people get jobs by going on this trip. And it is an opportunity to interview, but also just kind of meet people in the bar association out there. And so we take students there. We take students to Wichita. Again, networking opportunities to meet lawyers. We take students to Washington, DC for the Equal Justice Works Conference and Career Fair. It's like the largest public interest career conference. It's really amazing. And we are the school that takes the most students and pays for them. So what I am saying is you pay $0. We take you to DC to apply and like interview with these incredible organizations. And they're not all based in DC. They're based all over the US and come to participate. I mean, we're talking like hundreds of employers, thousands of students. It is kind of wild. But it's cool because when we go to these sorts of things, there's always an alumni outreach. And so again, Jayhawks really love each other. And when you were asking about the kinds of jobs that students secure for the 6th semester, I was immediately thinking about one of our alumni who works for the Department of Justice. And he constantly reaches out to me and is like, hey, we have this internship, it's that time again. Can you post it and see if anyone is interested? And it doesn't always work logistically for people, but that is like, we have a solid alumni base in DC. We have a solid alumni base in a lot of these locations. And so when students are like, I'm interested in, you name it, name a place, Nashville. It's like, okay, let's see who we've got in Nashville. And that is, an opportunity for us to just do some searching if I don't know somebody off the top of my head, and then make a connection there. So we think that utilizing the Jayhawk alumni connection is really important. And I didn't go to KU for undergrad. Maybe some of you did, so you already get this, but like, I can't emphasize it enough. Jayhawks are really excited about one another. And so it is to your advantage if you are a student here, because everybody really genuinely cares about you.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I used to work for ambassadors and at Adams Alumni Center, and they were always constantly reaching out to each other.
I guess that's one of the advantages too. With every year, about a third of our students go out of state. We have more of a presence. We have more of a national footprint. because we have such a big percentage of our students going outside of this region each year. Honestly, if you poll students on the way in, 2/3 of them will say they're interested in working out of state after graduation, but by the time they graduate, they tend to have reevaluated, and about only 1/3 will leave.
Well, we have time for, I think, about 2 more questions. I think we advertised this to 6:45. So we can certainly, TJ, thanks so much for those questions. It's been a couple months since we've talked. I'm glad to see you on here tonight. Let's see, I had questions on my phone loaded up, but if you don't want to wait for me to find my questions, feel free to post one. And okay, here's a good one. What's the best advice you can give students for finding the right job at graduation? I hope that didn't stump you.
No, I wanted to give Stacey a chance to answer.
The best advice for finding a job at graduation, is that the question?
Yeah, well, in general, to get
Just
your
to find a
career
job.
off to a good, positive start. Yeah, to get it in the direction that you want it to go.
Yeah, there's just, it's like I think you're playing the long game here. And it's okay if you don't know what you want to do when you go to law school. I had no idea. I didn't know a single lawyer when I went. And it's crazy. Like, there are people all over the spectrum as far as that goes. Some know exactly what they want to do, and some have no idea. And it's okay to come with an open mind. It's also okay to have like a solid plan. But I think as much as you can, avail yourself of the programming that we put on, only because it does sort of broaden your exposure to what some of those opportunities are. For example, JAG. I didn't know anything about JAG. And it turns out if you are interested in, I don't know, like, for example, international law, JAG often sends people abroad to do lawyer stuff. That's international law. Like, that is kind of the dream for a lot of people, but you wouldn't think that you could find that in that type of career. And so we have a JAG panel where we invite different representatives from branches of the military to come and talk about their experiences, and they're all very different, which is also pretty interesting. But we are going to host let's see, our next event is a career exploration for smaller markets. So we're having a couple of folks who are in some of the less populated counties in Kansas talk about the opportunities there. Again, maybe you've thought about it, or maybe you haven't. It, again, didn't occur to me to not stay in Johnson County where I grew up. But it turns out, talking to one of these folks in Dodge City, oh my gosh, I think he graduated in 2014. And when I saw him last fall, so fall of 2019, he was like a partner in his law firm and was a judge. And I'm like, good job, sir, you're thriving. And so again, opportunities that you just might not know exist. So we bring a bunch of different people to come and talk to you. And I think that is the best advice, is to come and learn about that stuff, because I think otherwise you can have, I don't know, I just think there are a lot of really cool opportunities that people don't know about. And we really try to educate people about what is out there, but we can't make you come to things, so. Heather, did you have better advice? Then
No, I
come to
thought that
all
was
our
really
cool
good.
stuff.
I thought that was great.
Exactly. Well, listen, I want to thank everyone for joining us. This is the first in a series of videos, and I think it's going to be a really nice series. And we look forward to hearing from you more. And I'll say one thing that I've heard over and over from the students this year is one thing that's been impressive about Heather and Stacey is that despite the pandemic and the fact that they're not in the building, Our students have had as much, if not more, FaceTime with our career services office this year than even in past years. And I hear that from our students. And I think that's really a testament to their commitment to working for our students and making sure that they're getting the tools they need to find those jobs and working with our alumni to make sure they know how great our students are. So on that note, I'm going to say thanks for coming and good night to everyone. And we'll see you again real soon.